It's clear that the Hanban would be very keen to locate one of its Confucius Institutes on this campus.
Why?
Because it's a much more prestigious location than the one they've got in Vancouver. There seems to be a pattern of trying to place these Confucius Institutes at, whenever possible, at well-reputed institutions. And UBC is one of the best universities in Canada, so presumably Hanban would love to put that flag on the map. They would be that much closer to the future leaders of Canadian society. There have been at least three approaches. I understand that the first approach could have been as long ago as 11 or 10 years ago, which is early history in many ways for the Confucius Institutes. And that was through this department in Asian Studies. But the discussion broke down, and my understanding is that during the face-to-face sort of verbal discussions, a number of promises were made by the Hanban people, but when the actual paperwork arrived with the contracts and so on, the legal documentation, that what was on paper was completely different from what had been discussed. And then the next time around, the approach came through the Institute of Asian Research. The discussion boiled down to, why do we need one? In other words, typically the understanding is that if you have a Confucius Institute, that there are certain requirements in terms of using Hanban curriculum, Hanban approved teachers, Hanban textbooks, and that there are certain obligations to Hanban. And why would we want those kinds of strings attached to funding when we have a big, sort of functioning program already? One of the arguments is that these are used in some ways as a way of elevating the image of China domestically back in China, and why would we want to be part of that? That's not who we are as an institution. I think there was a third attempt, but a very feeble attempt, or an approach, a few years ago through the International House, which is also not a teaching unit, and that was just didn't get past an introductory letter of inquiry.